So what we're going to be looking at today is volume. And the first thing I would like you to be able to do is to do all your metric conversions for volume. So what you already know about is you know your normal length conversions, kilometers, meters, centimeters and millimeters. And you know that the way we normally do this is we multiply by 1,000, by 100, by 10, and so on. Going back the other way, it's all divisions. And you know this quite well because we see it all the time and it's up on the window in our classroom. So what we've got here is our normal length conversions, and because volume is cubed, and our units are centimeters cubed or whatever meters cubed, if we cube everything, that becomes our conversion. So if you need to convert from kilometers cubed to meters cubed, you'd multiply by 1,000 cubed. To go from meters cubed to centimeters cubed, you multiply by 100 cubed. And going back from centimeters cubed to meters cubed, you divide by 100 cubed and so on. And that's a nice handy way of being able to do your conversions because there's nothing else to learn. So you know the area, this would all be squared, and length you already know from primary school. So let's have a look at our volume then. And these are things you probably already know, that the volume of a solid is the amount of space that it occupies, and this is measured in cubic units. To find the volume of something, it's the area of the cross-section, and that's the shape that if you cut it in half all the time, keep cutting it, it's the same shape all the way through, times by the height. So the formula that is on your formula sheet is this. The volume equals the area of the cross-section times the height. So if we look at our first example here, I have calculate the volume of the prism shown. Well, to work it out, you're all going to write down volume equals the area of the cross-section times the height. And in this case, you can see that this area of this cross-section has been given to us. So it's 63 times 5. And I'm sure if we got out our calculators, we might be able to come up with an answer to that. 63 times 5, and we get 315, so it's 315, in this case, centimeters cubed. That's nice and simple. Now, from this you can get some other volume formulas, but you don't need to know these off by heart. But it's kind of like a nice thing to do. So if we have a look at this cube here, we know the volume of a cube is the area of the cross-section times the height. Now the area of this is a square, and that must be S times S in this case. And the height, because it's a cube, must also be S. So we have S times S times S, which is simply S cubed. Sometimes you might see it written with L as L cubed. And for a rectangular prism, it's a similar thing. The area of the cross-section is a rectangle. So area of the rectangle, I should say volume equals area times height. The area of the rectangle is length times breadth times height. So sometimes you see it written as LBH. Now for a cylinder, we've got the same thing. Volume equals area of the cross-section times the height. The cross-section of a cylinder is a circle. The area of a circle we know is pi r squared. So the formula becomes pi r squared h. And for a pyramid, I'm not sure if you all know this or not, but if we look at the picture of a pyramid, it fits inside a box. And what all pyramids do is the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the area of the base times the perpendicular height. So in this rectangular pyramid, it's going to be the area of the base, and what you would need is a perpendicular height, the height of your pyramid. So let's have a look at this in practice with a couple of examples. Calculate the volume of this rectangular prism. Well, the volume we know for a prism is length times breadth times height. So we just take all of our numbers, 12 times 47 times 29. And we pick up our calculators and I think we get 16,356 millimeters cubed. And don't forget our units. To find the volume of this cylinder, well, we know the volume of a cylinder is the area of the cross-section times the height, and we know the cross-section is a circle, so it's pi r squared height. So that is pi times 1.4 squared times my height, which is 4.6. And if I work that out of my calculator, I get 28.3245, so on. So let's round that to, say, 2 decimal places. So 28.32 meters cubed. And last up, we've got a square pyramid, and we need to find the answer correct to 2 significant figures. So let's have a look at the base. So we know for a pyramid, as soon as you see the word pyramid, it's 1/3 the area of the base times the perpendicular height. So that's 1/3. The area of the base, well, it's a square, so that's 14 by 14, times by my height, which is 23. And if we pop that into our calculator, we get 1,502.66 and so on. And to 2 significant figures, meaning I only want the first 2 numbers, but I have to keep my place value, so I'm going to replace these both with 0. And the answer is meters cubed. So I hope that makes volume very clear to you, and you've all got some work to go on with.